50-year water plan status plus next steps by the State of New Mexico Office of the State Engineer and Interstate Stream Commission. Presenters will be Mr. Andrew Erdman as well as Mr. Myron Armijo. You have 20 minutes, gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Freeland, members of the committee, we're here this morning to get your water plan, and Andrew is going to be the main portion of some handouts here that I'll give out here. Andrew comes up here to take over. But just that I missed, Mr. Chairman, is that Governor Juan and her quest to become governor had a white paper on water. And part of this white paper was inclusion of a 50-year water plan. So Interstate Stream Commission was tasked with this project. We started this project in 2019. Fast forward, we're almost there with the help of Andrew, a tribal water working group made up of tribal members of the 19 Pueblos and Navajo Nation, Apache, Portso, and Hickory Apache. And this presentation today, Mr. Chairman and Vice Chairman, came at the behest of Council Delegate Freeman. We had the State Tribal Summit in June, and so we were asked by Council Delegate Freeman to come here to the Navajo Nation and the Historic Development Committee to provide this presentation. So that's the story of this presentation coming back forward here. So at this time, I will turn it over to Andrew Erdman, who will do the presentation on the 50-year water plan and the next steps. Andrew. Hello, thank you again for the opportunity to be here. I'm very thankful that we got a chance to present the timing. Actually, is really we're able to be included. Myron is handing out some handouts right now. Folks in the room, I hope that I have enough of them. I also saw that these materials were included in the email invitation for everyone at home. Last week I tried to screen this and present a little very poorly, so hopefully people can follow along their copies that they should be. So my name is Andrew Erdman. I'm the Water Training Program Manager at the Interstate Stream Commission. We're a very small group, myself and one employee. We're working on this. I'm going to present on the 50-year water plan. So the presentation we're going to go through is what the 50-year water plan is, what this really constitutes, the partnerships that have helped us to get this to where it is today, and then go through the content of the plan itself. So that includes what's called the leap ahead report, which is assessment of climate change, assessment of resilience, and looking at recommendations for what we're going to do moving forward, and then talk about the status and next steps. And what that includes. Trying to get through this quickly so I have some technical questions there. So first, what is the 50-year plan? My mission, this is a governance initiative. This is something that was called for by Governor Juan during his campaign. The purpose of it is to help Mexico plan for the impacts of climate change on water availability statewide. And the audience for the report are decision makers and the general public. So it's not a long, super technical report. It's a very short document or 37 pages or so. The format is concise, the bottom line up front, summary of needs and recommendations for improving resilience. Our goal here is to really get some decision makers who are busy folks at the bottom of the plan. I also have a little information about what the plan is not. So this is not the state water plan. I'm sure people are familiar to some extent. The state water planning process has 5 years. The last version was in 2018. It's called for by statute. This plan, which is the governor's initiative, is a little bit different than the state plan, which comes on a 5-year recurring interval and is part of the statute. Also not the regional water plans. Folks in this room are involved in the regional water planning process. Those were last updated in 2016 and 17, depending on the region you're in. Those are not required by statute to come back at a certain interval, although we for the last interest, but this is not that. So this is a piece that will be in the future regional planning work, but it's not. It's not a technical report. It's not all doom and gloom. The information about climate change is a little bit overwhelming. There are a lot of instances in the state where folks are already taking steps to be more resilient. It is not able to solve all the state's water problems. This is really a crucial step that we're facing is very overwhelming. We'll move forward together. It's one of our real goals. And this is also not going to just sit on the shelf, which is a common concern that I hear about plans. And our goal here is to have a pretty active process that stays maintains engagement after we finish. Okay. All right. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about the partnerships that have gotten us here to start. I'd like to thank all these different partners. First, the Tribal Water Working Group, Myron already mentioned. This is a group that we've organized through some work with the Indian Affairs Department, and they put together a set of recommendations that are intended to be reflective of tribal interests throughout the state. There are sort of key documents that appear in a report from that group. Our goal is to keep that work active so that those can continue to evolve as they need to change. I also want to thank the Bureau of Geology and Mineral Resources for their climate change assessments, their volunteer research experts have been incredibly helpful throughout the process. The Indian Affairs Department will help us arrange the Tribal Water Working Group that I just mentioned. Several other state agencies, including the state engineers, EMNRB, NMED, the Ag Department, Game and Fish, Homeland Security, Department of Health, and then a few other organizations that helped us out, the Water Resource Research Institute, which is an organization group out of Las Cruces, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the New Mexico Water Dialogue, who focused their last two annual meetings on this report. In terms of the contents for the report, as I mentioned, executive level document, fairly short. We are trying to put the bottom line up front and make sure that we only have a few minutes of time from a decision maker that they're able to access the important information. We have an introduction and an executive summary. I'm sure a lot of folks will only read the summary. It's primarily focused on recommendations. We also have a discussion, longer discussion of partnerships and the specific role that's played by each of our partners. That includes a two-page document that was prepared by the Tribal Water Working Group that's fully included in the document. The week ahead of summary, which is the assessment of climate change impacts leading up until 2070, the resilience assessment, and recommendations. So the recommendations that we're actually moving forward. Also, for supporting materials, so there's a long version of the climate change report that is very technical for those who want to look at the detailed information about climate change. The Tribal Water Working Group prepared a long version of their recommendations for the report, which is a 10-page document that will be a for this report. And then we'll have all the public input that we collected to be grateful for use to inform this report. Okay. So for those who are following along the slides, I'm now looking at a slide that says New Mexico's water future drier and more variable. It has two graphs, one in red and one in blue. So basically what we're looking at here, the graph in red is temperature. And as individual points for individual years and horizontal lines for 10 years. The real takeaway here, even if you don't have the image, I can explain it. Essentially, the temperatures already increased over the last 3 or 4 decades. Clear trends already of increasing average temperatures. And then the bottom line, blue line, works in the same way annual points for precipitation in this case, and horizontal lines refer to the 10-year averages. Precipitation, as everyone knows, highly variable in New Mexico throughout the state in different ways depending on the region. But in general, we're expecting to see a similar amount of precipitation, including that high variability forward. But that water will be stretched over a hotter or winter summer. Okay. The next slide here is several pictures of New Mexico, or maps of New Mexico that show. And sacred books learning will follow along so closely. I'll explain that we have 3 regions of the state. One shows the existing aerification, and aerification is a process where it's almost like permanent drought. You have a long period with inadequate water. You can have a change in soil health and a change in plant type, and essentially shift towards more arid conditions. Real quick way is a substantial increase in the humidity expected across the state. And that has implications for vegetation, soil health, certainly for soil health, and then soil health is really vital and underlies all kinds of processes, including maintaining vegetation, but also has a large role. Okay, the next slide here is a map of the entire United States. What's here to see it? The left half is largely brown, the right half is largely blue. What those colors indicate is that areas of ground are expecting increased water stress. So that means greater drought, also greater risk of flooding, essentially the risks associated with water are going to be greater. On the other half of the country, it's essentially going to be more water, and that also can exacerbate water stress in some instances in terms of having too much water, but it seems that almost the entire country can expect to change our water. So, in terms of the overall impact, it's an average temperature change of 5 to 7 degrees across the state. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but the 5 degrees is a lot more. Which also reduces aquifer recharge, greater year-to-year variability in precipitation, so we're expecting that the spikes could be forward. Higher and more severe droughts, greater demand in window and groundwater, surface water. So trying to fix it too. Use groundwater to supplement surface water, irrigators across the state, and the surface water is less available with concern that there's going to be increased demand on groundwater, which is also going to be less reachable. Stress on natural vegetation caused by increased temperature and increased water availability, so plants have a harder time getting water. Increasing catastrophic forest fires feels pretty poignant this year, but certainly we're expecting dry forests, and that increases the already potential risk of fire. Increased flooding and sediment transport, irreversible damage to soils through loss of vegetation, and loss of soil through erosion, reduced vegetation and soil structure, lose more soil. Degraded quality of surface water. So there's really a lot of concern relative to what the impacts of climate. Okay, so as we looked at this, I'm going to start feeding up like questions. We developed several factors for doing a bunch of public outreach over the course of last summer and fall. We actually did some very focused outreach to look at resilience across many different sectors of water use. But what we learned is that a lot of the resilience factors are the same, whether you're a farmer or an individual home or a city or a mine or whatever type of water use it might be. So the 5 big components we identified are water diversity, people who have more than one source of water, resilience, water availability, so the quantity of water available is more needed to meet demand. Infrastructure capacity, so having the ability to deliver and store that water is pretty if necessary. Watershed health, which is absolutely a national component of this, almost 80% as the state surface water, lands and upland watershed, so it's very top of the mountain, snowpack for the most part. Maintaining healthy ecosystems up there is essential to making sure that water is delivered to the rest of the system in a healthy manner. Finally, demand management. So one of the best ways to improve resilience is to essentially use less water. The numerator, basically, the fraction of how much resources are. Okay, I'm going to go through the recommendations we have for the report. There are 3 primary areas the recommendations are focused on. These were identified by the at the of the report. Those 3 areas are sustainability, stewardship, and equity. We're using that to structure the presentation. First one we mentioned is these are really important concepts, and we're really glad to have these at the heart of the report. One difficulty is that they're sort of overlapping concepts. You can almost see kind of a Venn diagram. Sustainability, stewardship, equity. There's a lot of interplay between the 2. So some of these information put in one category, potentially fit in another category, but we're trying to really stick with those concepts because they're really important to time. So we have 10 areas. Oh. Thank you. Okay, so we have 10 specific sets of recommendations that fall into those three broad areas of sustainability, stewardship, and equity. So the first area, stewardship, we have 3 recommendations within that: to improve upland watershed health, to improve the health of rivers, lakes, and reservoirs, and to protect groundwater. So the intention here is that we're looking at the whole water cycle and looking at maintaining healthy water systems throughout. That's how we're really considering stewardship. We have specific bullets for those of you who are able to attend here to talk about the specific efforts we're going to undertake. And actually, in our report, there's more meat on the bone relative to these recommendations. Okay, I'm going to go through the next ones and I'm going to tell you a little bit of what we're at. So sustainability, we have 3 areas of recommendations here as well. Can continue to lead in water conservation. New Mexico, perhaps by necessity, has been a leader in efficient water use for a very long time. We want to maintain that leadership. Modernization of administrative practices for water. So this is essentially how water is administered in the state, and providing better tools to more efficiently process, but also enforce and make sure that we have a better understanding of the water being used in the state. And modernizing water infrastructure. This is a particularly relevant one because we're suddenly looking at a whole lot of funding. It wasn't anticipated at the time this plan was originally conceived. Finally, the last section here is equity. The first of these pieces is increased engagement of tribes, pueblos, and nations in water management. So far, we've been doing this by working with IAD and the Tribal Water Working Group. We have presently got our document, and actually this just happened. I just sent this out last night at 5. But one of the requests we received from the Tribal Water Working Group from the Indian Affairs Division was that tribal leadership statewide should get a 2-week period to review this plan in advance to going out to the public. So that 2-week period just started today. So I'm really happy to get to be here to kind of mention this to everyone. So that plan is currently available. I sent it out yesterday for leadership from every one of the tribes in the state. I certainly endeavor to do that. To reach everyone, but let's see, the next piece is for equity here. Actually, I'm just going to go through and explain the individual pieces within the increased engagement of tribes. So resolving Indian water rights litigation, utilizing traditional ecological knowledge, improving policy agility, and evaluation of best practices. So those are our primary areas we're trying to work in. The other topics within equity include protecting safety. We're working with the Safety Association and Commission to do a better job flushing this out. They've been very preoccupied working with the fires over the summer, so we're still trying to get some of that caught up. Evaluating alternative water sources, so that includes importation of water, brackish water, deep water, all kinds of rainwater, catchment, all kinds of alternatives. And then continued research and planning. So that's really my work. So additional work to be able to keep taking things forward in terms of how we plan for water in the future. In terms of the status and next steps, we're in the July period, so we have travel review ongoing, safety review, and then there's a water task force that's currently also reviewing during this 2-week period. That period ends very close to the end of this month, at which point we are going to work very hard and diligently to turn around all those recommendations, and the report will go back out for public comment at the very beginning of August. So if there are any of you who are interested in putting in your own 2 cents, not just as part of a group or an organization, but as an individual member of New Mexico, the public participation process is going to be open to the whole state. And then we'll incorporate the final comments towards the end of August and finalize and publish in September. I'm afraid I've used almost my whole 20 minutes, but I'm happy to answer questions if there are.
Thank you, Mr. Erdman, as well as Mr. Amigo. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second. Honorable Freeland, second by Honorable P.L. and Gay Jr. seconds the motion. Honorable RDC, any comments or questions? Honorable Freeland.
Thank you. I feel like my airline pilot was just feeling like this. Thank you, gentlemen, State Engineer's Office, as well as providing the report. Definitely appreciated it. This was an ask when I was at the governor's travel leader summit last month in at Sandia. And the reason why I asked them to come out here was because of the drought. And what we're facing, luckily it's been raining a lot, but there's no forage to pull a lot of the rain. On my drive from Compound to Windrush this morning, I've noticed that it's getting a lot more green. Just looking at my area, it's getting a lot more green. And with the chapter with the sentence, we talked about that too. It's not brown or yellow anymore, it's green. It's nice to see. And I think this attributes to La Nina, if I'm correct. One of those Nino or Nina, one of those children. So definitely appreciate that. I learned a lot about that when they gave the presentation at Sandia. At some point, and what I want to do is come and talk to our landlords. And Chairman, we had a very good talk with Arizona NRCS on Monday. And everything on the Mexico side is completely different from what they do on Arizona side. And because of land status and other means, NRCS works a lot better with, it seems like a lot more better than our side than it does with the Arizona side. Not to mention anything else or say anything about, but there's a different type of relationship as according to Ms. Tatum. She says it seems that they do things different in the Mexico side of NRCS. So I'd like to have that discussion more in depth with the state engineer as well as the landlords and the state engineer's office as well at some point. And we also have to involve the BLM and the BIA too. That way everyone's all on the same page and coming on board. And really, it's going to be a very important topic as far as how are we going, what is conservation, first of all? What does that term mean? How do we begin to educate our people on ways to conserve or develop conservation plans? What does that all take? I think with all the resources coming together, educating our landlords, our chapter officials, that's going to be real important. And every detail, every resource that we can pull together will be very valuable and appreciative. And especially for the 31 chapters on Eastern side and how you work with them. And Mr. Armijo, he was a former governor too from Santa Ana, so he's a former tribal leader. So I want to acknowledge that too. Thank you, Governor, for that. And just the relationship that we got to have with the state agencies is real important, real valuable. Now he's the tribal liaison for New Mexico, and this report is actually really important. If there's any way you can blow it up, I was trying to read along with it, but I can only go so far with my new progressive glasses, maybe the stronger ones. But hey, I just wanted to see if you can send us other PowerPoint to that way we can share it. But if we can maybe look at some availability, I'll talk to you offline if I know about coming together with landlords. But Chairman, if there's any way that we can just kind of get some information, maybe from ag or fish and wildlife, because we have that climate adaptation plan in place too, that we need to take a look at through fish and wildlife. How is anyone keeping the percentage of rainfall in the nation? And is there anyone measuring that? And how do we handle that? The state has their ways of doing it. And I even saw a picture on New Mexico Cattle Growers Association. They have rain gauges out there themselves that we should probably set up too. But how can we do that and measure rainfall here in the nation? How is that done? And how is it done variably from like this area in Church Rock to Crown Point all the way up to Naheezy? How are the measurements done? And just to see rain, I was thinking I don't have a porch, but I have a log that I sit on the back porch usually at night in the evening time. It gets cool, and I always look to the north, and that whole area was getting drenched with rain last night. So it's even lightning up that way. And the rain is still coming down. It's real good to see. But, Chairman, some thoughts and comments, and state engineer's office is a very valuable resource we need to continue to utilize and ask for their assistance. So I think working with them at NRCS is going to be really important, and working with the landlords. So, Chairman, just wanted to say that much, and I thank the state engineer's office for coming up. Double appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Freeland, for your questions and concerns with the information from the Department of Ag as well as Fish and Wildlife. A year ago, RDC took a drought tour across the Navajo Nation. Within that presentation, we received a report from the National Drought and Atmospheric Administration, Diego. Their presentation was on the mega drought. Extreme drought, I believe it is time for Fish and Wildlife to provide that report to us again with the Department of Ag, because a lot of our people are concerned about their earthen dams. Grazing officials are getting a lot of heat from their local communities. And I believe has to be some sort of report, perhaps some sort of mitigation as well. Perhaps at the next RDC meeting, we can put it on the agenda for approval to get that report from Fish and Wildlife. And your response, Mr. Erdman, to Honorable Freeland's concerns, sir?
We would absolutely like to be able to come out and be able to, excuse me. Thank you. Yes, Chairman, thank you very much for those concerns. We would absolutely like to be able to come out and speak in more detail and hear about some of the concerns that are facing everyone in this part of the state. I think getting an opportunity to be able to talk in more detail about some of the specific aspects of the report will be really valuable. We're in a really unique situation here in the Resource Development Council relative to almost everyone else in the state in terms of being in a position to look at developing resources while we're in this other position looking at kind of reducing resources elsewhere. So to the extent that we can help, we would absolutely like to be involved, and we're happy to come out and present and participate in anything that we can.
Thank you, Mr. Erdman. Any other comments or questions? And Honorable Freeland, your follow-up?
Thank you, Chairman. Just a quick follow-up. You mentioned the drought tour. If we decide to have another drought tour, could we have it in District 16 area? For Eastern, yeah. So we have maybe this area going all the way east towards Bakapua. And then we also have Tuatele, Elmo, and Reno too, that corridor. We had talked about going down those Bahale, and maybe this whole area going east. I know we talked about doing an abandoned uranium mine tour as well out of this area, but that's another discussion for later. It's really interesting to hear to go from I think it's called a most severe drought to just a severe drought now. It's like we're still in a bad situation still, you know. To hear that, and hopefully this rain will help. Now we gotta pray for heavy snowpack this winter, and it will help accumulate or alleviate some of that drought, get rid of that gap of how far of a drought we have. So we gotta really pray for snow this winter, and hopefully that will happen. And I don't know if there's any way that NOAA can predict snowfall, but just the La Nina season, how that all comes about, and how we get the precipitation off of the Pacific Ocean. This is all coming from the Pacific Ocean, and it's really interesting to study about it. All these rains come from Mexico, like Baja California, and that way it comes from all that area. So just to understand fully how that works. But Chairman, just to let you know, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland, for your proposal to have a meeting at Eastern Agency. But first of all, We met with Western and Central Agency LGA certified chapters. We have not gone to Northern, Port Defiance, and Eastern for their LGA certified chapters on their concerns, so we need to take care of that first as well. We can definitely take a look somewhere, but if we're gonna have a drought mitigation meeting in Eastern, we're gonna have to plan it for the other four agencies as well, to be fair. Eastern, but inside, London, I'm Chile, thought about me, but also, I don't know, even though I had it. Sir, Mr. Erdman, you're welcome to respond to Honorable Freeland as well.
I couldn't agree more. I think he's absolutely right about the rain. I think that John is trying to do the work and prepare to do all the talking about it. Really important. Anything we can do to try and participate in that would be great. Particularly since you're facing this sort of split between New Mexico and Arizona, some changes and sort of the difference in management. We'd certainly be happy to be involved as much as we can. Clarify things or whatever we can contribute. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Then, Honorable Begay.
Just a quick several questions. The first one is there any outreach specifically addressing this whole plan to the people in Navajo land? That's the question. The other question is, although this is a 50-year plan, what specific do we have in place as far as from the state of New Mexico government in helping the Navajo Nation who are currently hauling water for livestock and then for human consumption? And then specifically, although we probably work with the central government, such as the apprentice office or the council, any specific that have been a presentation to the refugees at the chapter level. Communications, especially the grading official, the chapter official, the farm board, the Eastern Land Board, or any other program at the chapter level. And then specifically, future water rescue has already been answered. And then the other one was a specific recommendation to tribes and Navajo Nation. The alternative plan, which is for the current plan. The details that they go from them, and have to have no not a couple of the specific for Navajo Nation. There's a situation that shows the demand and the drought situation. information that we still have the drought, emergency drought situation in the district. I think the budget, that anything that we do with that, there is funding that can do with that is the power of the bigger matters of the donor of the machine or this is it's not after the cocoa other nation contingency plan for drought. Take a conduct for the city level. The April 19th, the nation for after the academic committee. Consonant before the community that means that the goal that every and so on, just chairman, so there will be the specific question that I have regarding this particular plan. But if I could request further, maybe connection, maybe not for 2 months with that. How is it the correlation between the 3 states? The nation, how the both can state indemnity, pay a indemnity, and Navajo, or the heart of you know that the state of Arizona, the Arizona governor, $1 billion funding for water management, indemnity, usually how you use that. So that if a Navajo person lives on New Mexico state line, not even 50 yards, there could be another family who lives on the Arizona side, maybe 50 yards. If both Navajo or this family have to apply by the 2 different areas of the that's on that they have to discuss. So issue that able but my other connection 2 months ago without that. You need to report results. Yeah, if it is general.
Yeah, it's a all on the gay. I didn't fidiki to Koro. On him, I need so another man, I need clinical resource and development committee. We're very concerned about the drought water. Currently, I understand there's an emergency drought declaration. Okay, Nikin the Hasta by Kehilia. But wait a minute. Why given 50-year plan, Nela, for Nasco 50 years. What is the plan? What is the status currently at Nikishpahota? I don't know the next steps. Wait, Bansi case goes steady, ne? Data, Kodo, not Latin. Look back 50 years ago. If there was a plan 50 years ago, today, we would have had dams. Today, we would have had dams. Le kojo hos to ha zoje honsi kado Navajo Navajo Northern Agency do Eastern Artsiscone Hakadi RDC. Navajo should celebrate has Arjun's Linde or would you go a canal look on tail? De Coronas Lando Yeg on Nahtinha. When it rains, it comes down into the washers. Shenley wash, many farms wash, Round Rock, Rock Point, then Hot Sopegaki, San Juan River, Kajana, Ahako, Shanto, Dohsta, Nahastinko, Kayenta, Puranesh, then a hot soap. Then a hot sopodi, that or Ekiti Miniki, Army Corps of Engineers, RDC, Department of Water Resources. Leadership needs to come together and start planning on how we can have dams across the Navajo Nation. Deo ni gana hata, so oba yatki na donde, Babikin or Japan da hit, Araba Asati le. But this is going to be your assignment, Division of Water Resources. RDC, this is going to be your assignment. The critical Division of Natural Resources, they don't get assignment. Other grazing official, no, Finito Land Board, every don't get on this, but no on this. Even get can couple on this. This will be the plan. We need to start putting plans together. Coordination, yeah, yesterday with the state of New Mexico, other pueblos and tribes. What are they doing with their water? Hey, the counties and cities, what are they doing? Let's look at their plan. Why is a lot of rain that came through that we were blessed with just running down the washes to the rivers, down to Lake Powell, Phoenix, Tucson, and everywhere else, Las Vegas? No other name ever care. Neither lake that you own there was there. I have considered this in. Now, at the Korean, which yesterday, Mr. Armijo, Mr. Erdman, we can no longer say you are a separate jurisdiction, you are a separate tribe. We're all humans. No hokad and any clinic na we have concerns about water and how we need to learn the management of this. The land board raising you have a very powerful voice at the local level. You're concerned about earthen dams. You're concerned about windmills. Why? Because you're the leader in that area and people are telling you. I had not by a massage for they got you know that the late harmonic a party need on to the and they lost to put a house over. Then 50 years from now, we're going
Get the teeth. Oh, I have it right here.
Did he how can the Army Corps of Engineers help? How can NRCS help Department of Agriculture from the United States? But that has other so thank you. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions? Then, we'll go ahead and accept the report. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote, sir?
From here, we're going to live at the Josie's house.
I get to meet you.
Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes, Honorable Vice Chair Walker.
Yes, Chairman, I'm going to vote green on the report. Okay, with that. Thank you.
What is your vote, Honorable Vice Chair? Okay, thank you. Honorable Vice Chair Walker votes green. Honorable Thiel and Benjamin. Honorable Gay votes green. Honorable Daniels.
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels. Honorable Freeland. Honorable Freeland votes green. Honorable Stewart.
Green, Chairman.
Green.
Honorable Stewart votes green. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting, motion carries. We'll accept the report. Thank you, Mr. Erdman, Mr. Amijo. Appreciate your time driving here. Okay.
May I just say one word, Mr. Chairman, just real quickly, in our conversation?
Okay, make it brief, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Honorable Freeland, and members of the committee here, I just want to say that you're right. All these organizations that you mentioned, the time is now to come together here, okay? Andrew and I, it's uncanny that Andrew and I had this conversation this morning coming up saying that we have all these meetings, conferences. What comes out of those meetings? Is there something tangible, that ideas and solutions for the issues that you raised, Mr. Chairman? Time is now to get this done. 50 years back, like you said, was there a plan? Probably not. Maybe there was some semblance of a plan, but going forward, from this time forward, we can say 50 years from now, our children can say those people in 2022 established this 50-year water plan, and we've got solutions and ideas coming out of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Armijo.
Absolutely.
Honorable Freeland, would like to say thank you also for attending their work sessions and inviting them to come and join us. Now we could have some coordination. Okay, so thank you. Moving on to B, report from Navajo agricultural products industry on the rising hay costs, inflation, and if there's going to be a shortage in hay feed due to the drought. Presenter will be the Chief Executive Officer of NAPR, Mr. Dave Zeller. You have 20 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Is my audible level okay?
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate being listened to today, and I hope all are doing well. A slide deck was distributed of 10 pages plus 10 pages plus covers. Do they have that in front of them, Rodney?
Dave, I have not received that email.
Okay, Lorraine sent that out yesterday. Can you, okay. I will try to go through that. I'm sorry about that, but that should have been in your hands before 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. If you give me a second. Can I put you on mute one moment, please?
Mr. Zeller, I did receive it. I have it in hand right now.
Okay, thank you. All right. If you go to slide number 2, it talks about the forage market. To the right hand is a graph that comes from USDA that shows by state the hay prices. And NAPI uses a calculation where the 4 states in this area, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah, are melded together to come up with an average. As it mentions there, that based on that average, and all prices at NAPI are sent or are provided FOB, which means you know, the price is dependent here at NAPI. Currently, according to our calculations, hay should be or is being sold, a 90-pound bale is being sold by competitors at a $22 to $26 range. Our 120-pound bale is at $15.50 a bale. So we are selling hay at a discount, both at price and with size, compared to competitors in the market right now. We do see that the market price will go up because of inflation, as Chairman Nez mentioned. These are things like transportation costs, fuel costs, storage, fertilizer, labor, etc. We utilize our own internal fleet in movement of the hay from the fields into our storage yards rather than hiring it out, trying to hold that price down. I will go to slide 3. it talks about the drought forecast. As you can see, we are in a D3 extreme drought. If you look at the map of New Mexico down in the lower right-hand corner, that nice little red dot in that upper left-hand corner is the NIP, where the NAPI is located. As you are probably all well aware, 66% of the Western United States is in drought. It's the driest it has been in 12 centuries. 79% of the water that comes from Lake Mead and Lake Powell is basically used for agribusiness. And therein lays a problem in that the hydro, which is what WAPA and NTUA use, is getting more expensive. In fact, WAPA, as our Western Area Power, has already used 78 million out of their $146 million buffer fund. And they predict a 40% price increase. We have not had the formal discussions on that. NTUA, they get 40% of their energy through hydro, and they expect their operating costs to go up $4.5 million this year. The reason I'm bringing this to your attention is because that electricity is what powers these pivots on the NIP. We have actually 4 power suppliers, and WAPA and NTUA are 2 of the major ones, and they're predicting price increases in that. Then we also know that interest rates are going to go up another 3/4 of a point this month. I just read that inflation reached 9.1%. So obviously prices are going to go up. Now, the good thing about it is, from NAPI's standpoint, we don't anticipate a problem producing the amount of forage we need. We know we can always sell more than we produce, so what we have to do is look at how it's distributed. And if you go to slide 5 as an example, there's an update there about our first cut of alfalfa. A quick little lesson there. Within a hay crop, 72% of it goes into our yards, which is sold out to tribal members, etc., or goes into, like, say, chapters, or Navajo Nation Ag Department, or the Colorado ranches, etc. 72% of it. 28% of it is actually produced as supreme and premium hay. And that hay actually goes primarily to 5 customers. Those are 5 dairies located here in New Mexico, in the Los Lunas, Portales, and Clovis areas. So on occasion, when you hear someone say, "Oh, I just saw a truck with a semi-load of hay going out and they had a Texas plate," that's very likely so, and that's probably the supreme or premium hay. That hay is being backhauled by their truckers to cheapen their freight costs up on that hay as well. That hay is contracted early on in the season, generally before hay even starts, and they have priced it around to other competitors. What we try to do then is take the hay that is best suited for tribal livestock, sheep, goats, your cows, the handful of horses, and that's where that goes, is to that set. And as of the first cut of alfalfa, there were more than 19,000 acres cut, almost 20,000. The expected tonnage was almost 40,000 tons, of which, again, 72% of that we anticipate going out to our customers in the tribal areas. If you go to slide 6, it gives a little bit of an explanation as to how and why. When it mentions the month, you're really looking at the very last days of the month. In other words, we're cutting hay at the very end of May, the very end of June, the very end of July, very end of August. And as you'll note that the evening temperatures in the May and August months are cooler. What that does is that affects the physiology of the alfalfa. That drives the relative feed value up on those plants. So basically the supreme and premium grades come from the first and fourth cuttings. Those are the ones, again, that go to the dairies and to, it could be used for race horses, that kind of animal. And it also shows a little chart where it basically takes about 7 to 9 days before, from when the hay is cut to when it can be going to customers. And we are on a schedule where we cut hay about every 28 days. That can be affected by the weather. So when people start talking about the monsoons, etc., actually rainfall is not beneficial to the nip during the summer months, because what it does is it slows or changes our schedules with our hay. It lowers the quality. If the hay has been cut and it gets wet, the hay quality will drop a little bit. Plus, we have to wait till the hay can be dried accordingly and put in there so there's no danger of mold, etc. We push that. Of course, that affects the labor situation too, where people are having to do that. The 7th slide indicates how we manage chapter sales, and they are given the first chance to buy hay. I know our marketing team, which has doubled in the last 2 years, spends a lot of time reaching out to chapters, making sure that they have the hay that they want. If you go to slide, that would be slide 8. For example, in 2021, we forecast internally that Navajo chapters, etc., would take about 1,500 tons. They actually took 1,554.92 tons. And it also shows which specific chapters took which volumes and which levels of hay. That's on there. The next slide is for 2022. It shows the chapters that have already taken hay, possession of it. At this point, they've already taken 280 tons. I mentioned that in the year before, we had set aside 1,500 and they utilized 1,554. This year, we have set aside 5,000 tons for the chapters and the Navajo Ag Department, Colorado Ranches, etc. We have not been assured they want that much, but we have set that aside internally so that that can be used by those members. And then slide 8, 9, be slide 10, I believe, shows to date what has been purchased but not yet delivered, which is another estimated 746 tons going to like Nashiti, Crown Point, Nagizi, Counselor, etc. And that has already been paid for, and that is being collected out of the fields now for shipment very shortly, or upon whenever they would like it delivered. And that would be, as we would refer to, the second cutting, because that was their preference. Most of that hay, as you can see, is good and fair, and it is almost entirely the 3-tie bales, which are the smaller bales. That is their choice. We are not concerned knock on wood, about the volume of the hay that will be produced, but that is somewhat weather related. And not so much by what God does to us, but by what happens with our 50-year-old infrastructure. If we can keep the pipelines maintained on time and working, we're in good shape. If we have a line break or a lateral break, then that sets us off a few days, and then that throws all those schedules off again. So, and then I think the last slide showed other products, grains, etc., that are being shipped to the chapters as well, and that is in there. So I guess the key point is that that we are confident that we can produce the forage we need. We're expecting to have more hay available. We're making more 3-twine hay available as opposed to the big bales. We have developed other forages to be used instead of just alfalfa, like the hay grazer, cover crops like triticale, oats and peas, etc., which are actually better suited to the beef cattle, sheep, goats than the alfalfa hay. Again, we're keeping in touch with the chapters. I know that we are working hard at it in doing that. Basically, we are placing the Navajo Nation tribal members first. As you may or may not recall, 2 years ago, we had a hay export company located on the farm that had just shy of 4,000 acres, that they provided hay to Saudi Arabia, China, etc. We no longer have a lease with those people. That hay is being produced here and made available again to the chapters and people that show up to the Region 2 scales. So we can produce the hay. We are producing the hay. The biggest concern I think that we face, assuming that our aging water infrastructure holds up, is on how it is released from the farm. There are 2 ways to do that. You can either raise the price of hay, which will slow down people coming in to buy it, or you put bale limits on it. And the reason that people have the bale limits put on is to keep various individuals come in and buying huge quantities, and then they go out and resell it to other people. So we're trying to slow that down so that when people want hay, they come to Nappy and they get it, and they pay the cheapest price that they can. We also encourage very heartily the chapters getting orders put together for their people and letting them handle it. That way the freight can be reduced rather than individual members having to come over here and paying the rising fuel prices that they have to. That would also alleviate some of those members who are concerned about they wanted a certain amount of hay and could not get that hay volume because we did have limits put on that. Again, that's to make sure that everybody has a fair chance to get hay. Our board did request, specifically an Arizona member asked that we raise the limit on hay. We did that. In fact, I think we almost doubled the amount of hay that an individual could take. And within a few days of that, all the hay was gone because we could not ship it in from the fields fast enough. So then there were days when there wouldn't have been hay available because we hadn't been able to get it in because we raised the limits. So there is a reason for putting that limit on those bales that can float depending on how much inventory we can get into the barn from the field. And of course, the price could float too. For now, we're comfortable with these prices and we're doing everything we can to hold them down. But again, we're faced by the same problems everybody else is. Cost in fuel, cost in labor, cost in electricity, everything that goes into it. We're trying to hold prices down. I realize that was pretty quick, but I know you've got a lot to accomplish today. Do you have any questions you would like to ask of me that perhaps I can address?
Thank you very much, Mr. Zilla, for your report. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second.
Delegate Daniels.
Honorable Keel and Gay motions, and second by Honorable Herman Daniels. Honorable members of the Resource Involvement Committee, do you have any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, this is Delegate Daniels.
Honorable Daniels, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, Kudo. Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, honorable members of RDC, and the 24th Council colleagues, just staff of Sokoto, Aronana Kudo Shinale, Honorable Chi Shinale, Nado. Yeah, Donana Kwegi, Yate. Adokododam. I want to say thank you to Mr. Zeller for his presentation update to RDC on NAPI, on the hay. I know that several months ago, NAPI ran out of hay. People were looking around for hay. At that time, price of hay was like $26, $27, $28 a bale. A lot of people, they went to Cortez, Colorado, Pleasant View, Yellow Jacket area, but they also ran out on that side. So, yeah, I'm the one that requested for this report, the presentation at the last meeting. So most of my questions that I was going to ask has been answered. So thank you very much. And one of the questions I was going to ask was the limit on the hay. I know that I get my hay from NAPI, so those big bales, I get them from there. And people go there to get hay, and they're not really satisfied with the limit. They were only allowed to take 16 bales a day, so they weren't really satisfied with that. Because one of a rancher from Arizona, he drove like three to 4 hours drive to get to NAPI. And when he got there, he was only told to only take 16 bales. He was kind of upset that day. Is it still the same 16 bales? Is that the limit on the three strands? That's going to be my question. And this year, throughout I know that we're still in this the drought stage. We haven't get that much rain yet on the Navajo Nation. We have some rain just here and there, but not all. So today I see clouds but no rain. So moving forward, the cold season is going to be here in several months, and I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know what the forage is going to be like in the fall. So that really concerns me. On NAPI, the hay, are you guys going to be okay for the winter? Are you guys you're not going to run out like what happened this year? Because a lot of people, our Navajo people, they're going to be looking for hay again. They're going to be hauling hay. some of these ranchers also, what they do is that they store them for the winter months. That's why they get more than 50 bales, and yeah, that's what they do. They store them. So they have a hot seat or Mr. Chair, and also colleagues. I need I don't hear that. I don't know what this card to see how hot it on it. It of a husband that hot chill that and the hot out less. Well, that's in the house. Last year they in the house. Can the or here I sit on here in the house. Can the just in my region, which so I am the house. But not all. So we button there. Oh, the head are not being loyal. So the snack with we hit an end, Lenigi that I abassin on Jonathan lessons from Baban, that's case here. So what is Laquado? Ludas for a bunch of the case. I know we have ranchers in New Mexico, permit holders, ranchers in New Mexico, Arizona, Utah. So what echo? I bunch of Nashki, cut quite a down. So I'll get a bassin on Jonathan lessons. So I don't know what I Argent House Lanatan from RDC shareholder. Lay Lanatan and for you. It about behind this kid of Mr. Chair. So I on thought of one share or shadow let Quado. I don't know what on a great I know that the great house are what air cost. We have these feral horses on this side too that we need to address too. For those Halita or Nesa so Edo at Skintako, Bebenant, on our land board. I see at Skintako Sati, Lesonan and a very great management program. The quite I know all that for the winter months. I don't know that on a snaggy or Yato, so about the last limb. So but case, we shouldn't. These are feral horses. I see the I show so none of behead with that day. I don't know the great behead all ice cut I and cake or see. I see, but I had to about the caco. Halita Dave, but yet the kitchen. So I see we really need to sit down with the RDC and talk about feral horses, feral mules. That I don't know the great feral. Barrel donkeys, AD, or you day cargo, Ladan day cargo, Craigie or Bashan Echo. For 8 years, the Hunter is Baha Street or less. I don't know Codona Great. I know that and RDC we approved $4 million out of 50-50 formula. I usually chapters best with that. So the great there are chapters that haven't buy hay for their constituents, feeds that ranchers and also grazing permit holders that yan that all hot echo. So yan that kiddo in that no co, but Nagato ban best case or it used to be like $12 a bale back in the days, but that $12 they don't simple that all that. So he don't call, but I lean there sheet or the need on it. But right now it's like $15 dot they go dal kiddo. So idiot or one shell or a baha read on it. Because Mr. Chair, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Daniels. Let me go back to the presenter, Mr. Dave Zola, your sponsor.
Thank you, sir. To start with, the first object is, I believe the hay bale is set at 30 right now. It was 16 a few weeks ago as we were finishing out. And one of the ways that, again, those bale limits are put into place is so that we don't run out of hay in like February or March. We try to extend it out into May, right before the next cut comes off, so that people in those, whether you want to call it late spring or early summer, like May and June, they still have access to getting some hay as the first cutting is coming off. I would also point out, so we make it a point not to really run out. If we do run out, it would be like a week or two before the next cut is there. I would like to point out that if it is a big concern about the number of bales that could be taken, they can enter into a contract with the marketing department and set aside how many bales they want, set that price and what times they want to pick it up. And they'll be treated just like the dairies and the Colorado ranches, etc. So that is available to them. All they have to do is just talk to the marketing department. Vince Cowboy heads that up. I also believe that our website has posted on it if there is a bale limit or not at any point on the specific varieties as well. So you could go online and look and see whether it's like it might have been 16 a few weeks ago, or now it's 30, etc. But that way you can plan accordingly, or as mentioned, go ahead and enter into a contract, and we have that. And that hay is set aside for you then, for you to take at your convenience, whether you want to pick it all up on 1 day or 2 days, or string it out to what works for your schedule. I also sympathize with you on the feral horse program. I believe it was 2 years ago. We worked on a program with BIA, and I believe we removed 80 feral horses from the NIP. I know we still have some horses that show up, but sometimes those seem to be our neighbors and not so much the feral end of it that is appearing. And that's actually a problem that we have to deal with here at Nappy, are cut fences and haystacks being set on fire in the field, which is why we work so hard at trying to get those hay bales out of the field and into the yards and storage areas where they can be watched, reduce the chance of arson, and we could be covered by insurance then in case something should happen. Did that answer all of your questions, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Zola, for your response. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions? Then, okay. Get the report and call for the votes. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, have you voted? Honorable Begay, have you voted? Honorable Begay, vote green. Honorable Daniels,
Mr. Chair, I vote green. Thank you, Nappy. Thank you.
thank you, Honorable Daniels. Honorable Daniels, vote green. Honorable Freeland, Honorable Stewart,
Chairman Freeland votes green.
who's this?
Freeland. Delegate Freeland.
Honorable Freeland votes green. Honorable Stewart. Honorable Vice Chair Walker votes green according to his text message. We have a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair now voting, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Zella. Next report. Update report from Division of Natural Resources and Department of Agriculture on the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund and amounts expended on hay and feed. Presenter, Dr. Rudolph Shabala, Division Director, DNR, and Department of Agriculture, Department Manager, Mr. Leo Watchman. Dr. Shabala, are you on the call? Mr. Watchman? Anybody from Division of Natural Resources on the call? Or Department of Agriculture?
Chairman Nez, I don't believe Mr. Shabala or Mr. Leo Watchman is on the call. They were informed of this meeting. I did also ask the Office of the President and Vice President, Ms. Teresita Clashin, to also remind them yesterday and this morning. She did indicate that she's going to call them as well to remind them that they are on RDC's agenda to provide this report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. Mr. Davis, from the Office of the President and Vice President. May you contact Dr. Shabala and Mr. Watchman to provide a report to the Resource Development Committee. And we will
Only have Mr. Shabala's number. I don't have Mr. Watchman's number, but I'll text him.
Okay, we'll move down to D and come back to C. D, report on the freight rail line feasibility study in San Juan County, New Mexico. Presenters, Honorable Mr. Tom Chief and Mr. L. Henderson. You have 20 minutes.
I have Honorable Chairman Nez, Honorable RDC members. I have one of the most difficult times to give a presentation when people are eating. So, my partner here, Al Henderson, and I will do our best to have you eat and listen at the same time. A very delicate trick to do. If you take United States, every kudo season, kona responsibility, really, the queen shape can go, yeah. Oh, the north, eight on it. They four corners, the house, they put they or Priya, Cochenda, Peru or Gallup, no, Peter, the kitchen. That we so there's no way for this. In yeah, many data, they four corners, there's not item not yet. Otherwise, we got a bit out of the art. In that society, she did some Diego, 1,000 Yaki, that Jackie, a King Diego, so yeah, a whole state on although the punch score, she did some that Jackie, so Diego was highway safety, middle. Highway maintenance at a John Oxford, from the generation, the national of it. Other than says, other a Keda is Yahida, I don't pass, and they don't mark the check it or the making a young that some house are baby. So even yellow issue with a Ude, but he would be. But you know, Mr. Henderson, yeah, she says they know Chateau, the neck catching up to go and Sahaki, so Chateau, he did never his shallow hoods and a Lashana, Mr. Kodo, concerned. Was our medal of travels and production. So, everything he done so here, Roba Ken, so the Schlecht. He that then is store, red kilo, the scarf, Sona, Fancy, Ochetico, Jatico, keep it at all. The road marco, the four corners, the wrangle, four tails, and shipwreck, farming in that whole, ego ship, Napica. The software, the brigade of the team on the yes, never on the case of this.
assumption on the other side, gun on the side, assumption. Almeno, lo febo seco, oka ane ego on side case, or the edge. Assumption is accepting something or story without a proof, without a proof spaces or something. So we assume. Or usually there's an assumption about it, but it or when they see some case. What chance for no son is a kid in each one. Your day are told that they get it. The ex of Shannon, he died of one was a thunder, no, best was about us, a bush shot. It was best was a bend of it. She pay up that he was so. I gave it a soul that he was the conversation was shut when they got. He couldn't be. The good treating the snake on the half the street, no. The sign letters a thousand about him, you know. They all get an assumption for research and for they all get a feasibility study. The big to go and others Latina, the so I think they had a big heart, you know, the year. The NATO, the Vienna, no, you on side cases. Even Vienna, Christian and Ashiba, Hanna, or Tito, other things, or Tato, a share, and this of psyche. You don't also care much about the Roshi, Mr. Hanson, Henderson did that. Yeah, not so young.
Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Chairman and members of the RDC and the listening audience who are sitting here within the Drought chapter and the listening audience. My name is Al Henderson, and I'm working with Tom Chi to cover one aspect of particular importance that is incumbent upon this project. It has to do with public involvement. That means we have to inform the individuals, the communities, the people, the land users, the lessees. There's just a whole number of stakeholders that need to be informed about the possibility of constructing a railroad in the Four Corners area. Let me give you a little background. I have submitted with the help of Mr. Tahi to have sent out a information sheet to explain a little bit more about what this freight rail feasibility study is all about. This is a project that was funded last fall by the U.S. Department of Transportation. That particular funding was given and awarded to San Juan County, who in turn put out an RFP. And it was a nationwide bid, and the winning bid was awarded to a company out in the Midwest by the name of HDR Engineering Inc. HDR and ourselves, Tom and I, become familiar with this particular organization, and they have an in-depth history of railroad from feasibility study, construction, financing, completing, and operation and maintenance. So they know the railroad industry 360 degrees. Now, when this particular grant was announced, they needed to have a partnership with other stakeholders, and one of the principal stakeholders, of course, is the Navajo Nation. So in February of 2020, at the time President Nez was asked to sign on, which he did. So there's an MOU in place. And that puts us right in direct contact with having us respond to the needs of the Navajo Nation. And particularly not only RDC, but also from the executive side, the Division of Economic Development,
and also the Division of Community Development, and any other divisions in the executive branch. For example, the land administration, we've managed to go ahead and work with them very well. And we've only been on the job here the second week, the second month. So this is a fairly new project that has a significant impact, economically speaking, on the lives of people who are land-based users and members. Now, after the MOU, the contract was put out, and we became one of the shop contractors. There are 5 teams that are doing this particular project. There's an evaluation team, what we call an integration team, that involves looking at the environment, both nature-wise, but also the Environmental Protection Agency's involvement. Several key areas that needs to be examined. There's also an involvement team, which is basically Tom and myself, and we're going to be the principal ground zero operators within the Navajo Nation. So at the end of this particular piece of presentation, we'll go ahead and have you look at our email address that we'll share with you and ask any questions that we would like to have you approach us with. We will provide you the answers that is needed. The fourth member of the team is the forecasting, which is actually the benefit cost. Is this particular project able to pay for itself in the long run, or is it likely to fail? And we need to go ahead and have a benefit cost analysis done on this project to really put your project on a go status. This particular report, the feasibility study, goes back to San Juan County at the end of the study. From there, if it proves feasible, they'll probably go ahead and request for another round of funding for the actual construction designs, get the construction ready documents, and then put out another RFP. So this particular project is not terminal on the short run. It's got a long lifeline to get at least the first groundbreaking to occur, I would say, over 2 to 3 years from now. The last one is the railroad operations. The railroad industry is a highly regulated industry, and there is quite a number of compliances that has to be complied with. All railroad operations across the United States have to comply with it. So those particular experts are also on the team that is identified by the HDR organization. So what areas should the Navajo Nation's involvement be? Well, we have a framework already. The board is open with the MOU. So every citizen sitting here in the chapter, the community, and those of you who are out in the community, you have a right to go ahead and ask us the questions. And later on in the fall, we would like to have the Division of Community Development help us organize a meeting that will allow us to go ahead and bring the entire team to give you bits and pieces of the work that all the team members are doing. When that is done, we're going to go ahead and punctuate that particular meeting with what we call a work session. And this is where we have a really important request of the RDC, Mr. Chairman. We would need for you to help us organize that work session. And San Juan County has already said that we would work with the San Juan County to do that. So all the 32 chapters that we've identified, the immediate respondents that we need to contact, will be invited, plus any other interested chapters that may be interested, or any other members of the stakeholders. And at that time, we would have had some kind of an idea of what the railroad need is from the Navajo Nation side. Is it possibly a small amount, or is it a large amount, and what are the different types of goods and services, products that are going to be needed to come into the Navajo Nation, or being produced and exported potential off the reservation? And then, of course, affiliated business and economic development. There's just quite a number of business and economic development opportunities. Now, we've been doing a lot of research independently, and
we know that in the 50s, there have been a lot of Navajos the railroad industry. And they make their money there, they brought it back on the reservation, and they spent the money on the reservation. That's called importing money back into the reservation so that they can fulfill the needs and wants of the family members and the community. So there are a lot of different businesses that could be created along with this particular project, and it's got a lot of ripple effect that we want to go ahead and identify. So we'll go ahead and probably get to that stage with your Navajo Nation involvement as well. And then we call it enriching the Four Corners area. It's not only northwest New Mexico that we're talking about. We're talking about southwest Colorado, southeast Utah, and also the whole of the state of Arizona, just as well as the Navajo, New Mexico. So the Navajo Nation is right smack in the middle of the potential springboard of such a major activity of economic development activity. Mr. J.T. Willie is the executive director of the Navajo Nation Division of Economic Development. In the MOU, he is designated by the president of the nation to be the point contact for Mr. Willie. And hopefully before too long, we'll have an audience with him. And I understand that he's not available to meet with us until this particular political season subsides a bit. So we'll know that for sure before too long. As far as the work that we're doing, we're team number 3 of the 5. That has to do with public involvement and agency coordination. So we've identified 32 chapters. We've contacted probably about a third to about maybe a quarter at this point. And we're not rushing into it. We want to go ahead and do it on your time because we've got about a whole year to do that particular part of the work. And then we want to do the work session, as I mentioned, we're looking at the fall. Hopefully we will go ahead and do that at San Juan College and take advantage of their overture. If they have to say this, we invite all of the members here and we'd like to host them. And the main thing that we want to get there toward the end of the presentation here is the work session, which we want to go ahead and explain there. It's called the SWOT analysis. And most of you are probably familiar with the SWOT analysis. And Tom and I are going to go ahead and monitor and facilitate that work session. So on the front end, we'll explain what it is, and then we'll go ahead and go through a work session to figure out what the community who participate actually are saying about this project. It's either maybe, we think so, exciting, or maybe it's a hands down type of determination that will come out. So it's a good exercise, and we'll do the analysis on that. Later on, toward the end of the project, probably the last quarter of this particular contract, which will put us right in about the first quarter of next year, 2023. And somewhere before that, we want to go back to the chapters that are going to be directly impacted. These are the 32, and we want to go ahead and put a formal resolution before you to go ahead and approve to move forward with the project and supporting the launching off the feasibility study that we will go ahead and have completed by that time. So this is not the first time you're going to see us. When we see the chapters, we understand the process. Club C is very important. We're making every opportunity to come to the Club C meetings, chapter planning committee. We want to hit them, and then also go to the chapters for a resolution at that point in time. So there's going to be three efforts that we're going to be employing to get your involvement on this highly exciting and hopefully, if it happens, a productive new activity, economically speaking, business-wise, and a major opportunity for all of us. So that's my report, Mr. Chairman. And also, thank you for listening, audience, here and on the call. And we're happy to answer any questions you have. Okay. Okay. Honorable Mr. Tom Chi and Mr. Al Henderson. Honorable members of the LEC, let's establish a motion and a second.
Daniel.
Herman Daniels.
Honorable Daniels, motions. Second by
Stewart,
Honorable Stewart on horseback. Yeah, Nanta, any comments or questions on the report? Then, yeah, it's very important, Mr. Henderson, Mr. Honorable Pomchi. I'm glad that you're very transparent about it. I'm sure a lot of communities will be excited about it. 32 identified chapters that will produce their resolutions supporting the project. It is always best to contact the chapters. I don't, and then any, no assumptions about seeing it based out and that they are now. You get it or tease a couple of natural spells and all that for Geneva. And the work session, we'll be glad to have that work session. Today's just a report. A work session could last anywhere from 9 o'clock to about 5 o'clock or 6, depending on the amount of information that will be disseminated. And also comments and questions to Navajo Nation leadership. And you probably more than likely will present to most of the standing committees as well as full Navajo Nation Council. So that's good. Yeah, you have the floor.
Chairman, after submission, just as well, several times, when we had meeting at Mecca, the discussion about traits for economic development. I know we've been talking about it. Now, the one thing that I'd like to bring up is some budget. Peabody, that cost. Peabody, that so I believe 50 miles doesn't exist. Mean how did the railroad about 30-something miles. Of course, Navajo Nation. Of course, recently there's some vandalism at the so it does make a lot of those wire copy. Of course, AOU no by yet. Of course, so it doesn't all that your group that's looking into that. So the talking about Nama too. So it's all Navajo Nation for that I think it's great infrastructure. So one thing that we really get ourselves in a situation a lot of times. So Navajo Nation, but that is so Navajo Nation by the Africa. There's no population maintenance. No, that's your all. Because these are a lot of things that I think that we really need to look into. I mean, the basic infrastructure, a lot of them. That's one. I think that's one of them that really that the Navajo Nation really should invest in some way, one way or another, in terms of economic development, in terms of any other ways of to decrease these traffic flow or something of that nature. Of course, so because smart highway have more than 5 years. Of so-called industry that these technologies. So these what are energy sectors, they call the energy net between the cloud your high energy or energy like and then you could connect all around. I mean, so the code you know you still got to think the public for our investment from the Western agency to the Eastern agency. Chúng ta sẽ ưu dụng cái dạng một sự nó có từ nay được chúng ta có chỉ là khi mà được cái và chúng tôi mà cái bài cái nó chỉ bảo nhất or something to have interest. Anyway, I mean, there's some thoughts that I have in terms of these railroad, so freight rail line feasibility study. Nobody actually. So if the nation is not even improving of what we have in existence right now that was given to us, nothing to put down, able to open up, all the đây là một cái cố Việt Nam sẽ ra cái sai của but not to say that I'm opposing it, but I think it's some areas I think people will be bringing up as well.
Thank you very much for your concerns and questions, Honorable Jay. Honorable Mr. Lomchi and Mr. Henderson, your response.
I chaos kita state any county allotment land so federal navigation ida ke ni khaito na da ni between on to or stati na khete sa hotel or the in the zone Francis case additional RDC committee, IDC, in Kendo, Kato, Saton, Kitato, Nito, other one which are can be on this case, not really able. A quiet year of pretty us, they, Kansas City, the engineers and they that we quiet with Kona, we are saying. The old Indians chasing the freight lines. And he would cover on some case so that put all the hours, no, and put the nail, up and down, no, don't be shun with that. So the question can now about Ishman, a hair and cut a horse, L.
Mr. Henderson.
Again, actually, he got, oh, that's an interesting, no. The Christian Africa, been the saya aku berkata tahu dia. Jadi ini pun nak buat, ini kita naik dah sekarang. Ini berkata no chat. Aku ini masih ada sebelum kerana isi station. Ini Washington besok. Kerana dia apa? Jadi kita harus menjadi. Ada apa sih nak ini tu perlu constitution yang itu le. Aku ini ada lepas CBC ini kita ya apa itu tahu. Aku ini tahu itu ada.
in the Sunday. He did Habanella a handle, the standard I can't be TV, not TV over the touchdown day, and that lady 371 TV, third I got the apple, yeah, upon the 8 owners. They shan't shell it, doesn't shell it. Out of project, about 1980, that's if you have 491, Abanashi, the bus at the Ina, you have a national question. Oh, Abanashi, right away, easy. The right of way is going to be a critical element. So that's where the land user participation is essential, almost mandatory for them to voice their concerns and opinion and give us an alternative. So these are some of the things that we're beginning to grapple with at an early stage. So thank you, Council Delegate, Honorable Council Delegate PLMA for alerting us to some possible concerns that we may have to incorporate into our report. Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Yeah, Mr. Henderson, as well as Mr. Tom Chi for your response. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions? Honorable Herman Daniels, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, kodo. Ado inta kodo. Itna hapo ne kodo presenters kodo. Yeah, kodo sunala. Ado inta kodo Mr. Henderson. Sto kodo. Yeah, zunan fra kodo. A very best routine. So you have seen for bana hapo ne ko. So you have a tahonet za. So you have a tahwil za. Hota. Yat hit ona na hota na hat argue with the tahwil za ko. Yeah, kodo. Ado na kodo. Ne kodo. Na hata na so that so hota yeah si ba hien san kodo. Sunala. Ani hota ye ko e kodo e kodo ben that on ado na kodo e kisna an so. Ado na kodo e kis ado Ishtan Aldano, that's not the way, not I don't know, Quadona great chapters. I don't know that, and the Suko. I don't know, Quado, Ishman's unlit, Linigi, Quado, 24th Council, the Hat and Hai, Shibonet, Zado, Quadona, they work session. So that I need age, a kitchen the Hati, Quado down, presenters, Quadona, great down, 20 arrows, the area. I guess this shows the big guy could do other kitchen down now. Or what could on a great down. But the best between on has in so bad this thing for you. So good. The great and shot to Dale kid hole, yes, a craggy black mesa. Very quite silo ya. The great peabody that in the center said, and I read a down laid on the silo be hidden. I don't know great dam. The great dam for not party. Quado has been provocated now, let me be legend. We hear the dad now, he gained in a great that is in hot sago. To a denkat. He bodied in the shanky though. To in this reclamation levantas, they have a god. I don't know, and again, NG, so now, Gahata. So. A call based between the gate on the a cocodo shot todo a codo a yell, ya, yes, not on Lenigi. Former council delegate, Honorable Stanley Yazzie, Untitled Chapter President, Mr. Roland Small Canyon. So I said, I'm the Napi, Nareda. Halita, a Åt expertint on it on chogonal so baby hati hekon rei penalta hine kana rei tore message I found I guess that is heko adona ana loka hat ena halna ho adona na rei sat fresh to be nesiko so rei oyo ya na this kitiki so kadona rei Navajo Nation has in a lap for a Chiholia. Then a railroad tracks again. Been on it or less what don't even for the Navajo Nation $17 or $18 million, but I call ADG we wanted some information on that. ADG, I call Mr. JT Willie, JIZ, Executive Director for Economic Development. Hashin so it is Donana. Asada with that it lay outreach. Sanadi place no at all that hole just a call. But that's the banana. She often called to the wash of stock to the guy basement has an adult less yield was other than the bananas. A yosan, so it's other about this case of home. A cocoa. Jehdi and had a horn of a shot toward meeting not at it late could the short at Jehdi, no. A cocoa, Bana, the kid got based on Navajo Nation made Melody. I could all hard that chose either sledge or that. They were Papa night, the kid, the create the so. In all times, like nay, being often and so other night, the kid. I called Quadona grades at the local level, Jehdi, Necodona grade at chapter level. So, Quadona grade economic development and division director in Leniki. State number D, I started Hania. I call the great shot, Tohodona, and the great Tunalia chapter, Kaibato chapter, the Chi chapter. A could he Kai Ajabeth, Bacon Downfield, and other state, Adonana, Twin Arrows, they are deep, let it north. Oh, at a base carter. Cohodo let what don't need it, I that's Ajish carter, and so the one just case, the words out the calendar, Jenanashi. Allow ye can't so. I could on a great a later at the Nathan soy as you base between take it out on take it. I called $8. What did I say in the order? I want to say what was at the next eater. What did I say in the great I don't let me now Nelly that had a meter yan the dog. Either day in the great rail gear. I started a meter the yan the dog and for the national share the war. I call over him there. I call what I land the great catenary lines and the air down card basically see at the end the air down. Yeah, the upper yandy, I call it down. I call Adonan and the great and that I be pole, not a Israel Kaiho. But I think I didn't great that NGS as the industry is for them, not this, the lady, but basically. Indicate anti a corpus or game a great as Navajo Nation with only Yagi, AIC ideal Kikodo, a cornan Shad, Abiza, with all economic development, the Gran, the rates are now Ragi tours, the cow now, Gale, that upper one net, not so hot are the Yayasti, then the Raysant Tori. I can't remember the gun I gave that I was is the things is not easy what all that said the snow. It was ever harness. It's echo without Mr. Chair. But who that echo, oh, you go that I think to go air or labor, it was nation, very economic development. I call on the radio, I asked you and I look at on the radar, Mr. Henderson, I bet the honnet. So the great of that needed by ye, I don't know the great agent and the Taha Gero. So that ego the Shimba Papa Hat Neko. Or 80 I don't know Quado. He the Haiti stay the Shinta the Downnet, no, so could I and I eat echo. Because what echo did that, oh, you got all that well, this or you don't shit this alcohol. Quite the 80, no, could only get the chapter level, session at on in Lingate Sando chapter, check with the Asanadi, let's no, a job, but an echo. So, Quadona Gray, the RDC, those I see the Quado, then the Nil Carlo, that's a big, and a great that $17 or $18 million. Navajo Nation, Yagi, that's a lot of money. Kohane, Lana, Hane, Lana, see, joy that, other part night, the deal, Kit Quado, RDC, were the oversight. Economic development, division of economic development. So what that Ecuador, Mr. Chair, Ecuador, is that Ecuador, I see, actually that's the need with Mr. JT Willie, Executive Director. Of course, and he now did know that they are shown. Nick has either. kon ledet en dat die kan ik heel kijken. Kad is dat die les dat die nou daar zit toch o als bagon gaan vaak kees naar de aarde. Gewoon niet langer wat dat aan niet lenige aarde. Het gaat gewoon dus nee ko. So kato na gai RDC to ano dat as so hito. So hot ko kato Mr. Chair o yugo ba hato higi hoti so na gai work session is now say about the ajigita bahato the same about the year gai the best routine out of za it is het aben is het aben hot so ada see ja na it is kito the space na so an so hot Mr. Chair kato thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Daniels. A request for a work session. We could have it scheduled, added to agenda for approval at Twin Arrows. And we will invite Division of Economic Development Executive Director, Mr. J.T. Willie, as well as Mr. Michael Lona, who's in charge of land. We will need to know the width of the right-of-way and the length as far as miles is concerned on this railway project. Honorable Mr. Conchi and Mr. L. Henderson, a response back, gentlemen.
Okay, Anderson, I don't know care. I didn't need it. But see, proceeding with the hazard, but I see it's not the triple chapter. The net for the dice are clear and tight. This is don't he can't even much. Sudden disaster, he get the year, the better. Bizarre, upload, begin the upload, starting with the Kenya, I did about with Yambo, with the Zardan, Sato. What's I in some even in Kenya, the Khan of yes, but I see what Japan of Kia. So case on top of the don't send what you can bring on the start way, no start and fix it of the professional issue with what legal is here, but outside. No son which you got hidden intention here.
Mr. Henderson.
Black Mesa, the other railroad track also as the neck for that out of that if they set that many times out of project a black hat kind of happy them as you have you have Harden Neho, you have an interesting other Lauda, Naftan, a couple Ashi, that then that's no is what a couple no young chat, see the thought out. Ashi thought about it. Again, I'm not see the ship.
Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions? Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote, sir? Honorable Gay.
Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes.
Honorable Vice Chair Walker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. I vote green. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Vice Chair Walker votes green. Honorable Gay votes green. Honorable Daniels,
I vote double green.
Honorable Daniels votes green. Honorable Freeland votes green according to his text message. Honorable Stewart. Honorable Stewart. We have a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting, motion carries. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Oh, okay.
Chairman, Freeland votes green. Freeland green.
Delegate Walker, or Delegate Freeland, we did get your text message on the voting green.
Thank you. E, report from Navajo Technical University. New Mexico Tech on the Navajo Nation Water Purification Project. Presenter will be Dr. Roy Chadwick. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. So you have 20 minutes.
Thank you so much. Early these passing out some handouts. So first of all, I want to say thank you to RBC for letting us present our report, and everyone here for listening to us, and also thank you for providing a nice lunch. It's really it's good. So my name is Dr. Abhishek Chaudhary. I'm the environmental science professor at Navajo. So today, I think it's the right time that we got the stage to talk about the project that we are working on for the last 1.5 years, and the project that is addressing the water issues on our nation. We heard from the Office of the State Engineers, State of New Mexico, about their 50-year drought plan. So that tells us that water is something that we have to really follow carefully for our near future. And the project that we are working on is also addressing the water that is present on our nation at this moment, but we cannot use because of the anthropogenic or human activities that have happened in past decades. Mainly while mining happening on our nation, uranium, coal, and those water that we have are contaminated with a number of chemicals and are not allowed to use for human consumption. And that's what brings us here, what we can do to address how we can reuse those water. So if you all have the handout, so some of the maps that we put here are very probably you guys have already seen that we have over 553 listed abandoned uranium mines all across our nation, and people live within 1 mile of those alien sites, and most of the sites are not even properly tagged. They are actively impacting the lives of those local residents. The second map we have created, and my apologies, I'm a teacher, I always try to put graphics in the slides, and this second picture is animation that was supposed to come after the map, but I will be happy to share the map with you all if you are interested. So what we did, we worked with Navajo Nation Water Resources, and our students kind of found how many livestock wells are actually present on our nation. The livestock wells are very much common in all the communities, and they're very infamous for those inscriptions written on them, right? The water is not safe for drinking, right? That means something is wrong with the water. The water is present there, but we cannot use it. So we, that help us our water resources and our students found that there are over 700 of these livestock wells actually exist on our nation, right? So we cannot use the water. So first we want to I want to give you our future plan, what we want to do for the community, Navajo Nation community. So we are envisioning to create Navajo Nation Water Institute into Crown Point campus. So why we are talking about Water Institute? Because these days, we are talking about sustainability, right? We are talking about what we can do to secure our future. So we, like, on the Untitled campus, we want to give everyone in the community a means to taste their water. So this water institute, yes, we are a university, so definitely we will have our academic, component with the institute. So we have environmental science bachelor's program, we have environmental engineering bachelor's program. So this institute will help our students to gain hands-on activities. And I'm just coming to what type of activities we are right now doing with our students. Students like Mr. Wilson, their activity engagement. So this institute will support our existing academic curriculum, but the most important, it will help community. It will give the community a chance to bring their water and taste it for free. And if you get a certified lab that you want to do. And I'm really sorry to report that on Navajo Nation, we don't have any certified lab. So even if you want to taste your water, you have to ship it somewhere outside Navajo Nation. So we talked to Navajo Nation EPA. We have spoken to Navajo Nation Water Resources. They've spoken to NTUA. They all want this facility that services. But again, we just started building all this awareness campaign, and that's why also we want to seek the support from RDC as well, because this institute will stay with Navajo Nation and will train local students, and the main component will be workforce development. So what we have learned during COVID, we have lost so many valuable resources. We have lost people who were our water operators, right? So there is a void right now. So we want our students to take that course, but we need to train them. So that will be another component of this institute. So what we are doing right now, we have started a project called Restore. So as you all know, so Navajo's water, how we can restore it, the vital water resources from Navajo Nation. So this project started with the MOU between Navajo Technical University and New Mexico Tech. So NMT has already developed a water filter, some membrane fiber filter. I'm not going into details of the technical aspects, but it is a filter media that can take out salts if our water is saline, right? So we cannot drink if we don't drink, and it can take out uranium, like all those components, below USC standard. We have already done those, in our labs, and it works perfectly. So that's why NTU comes into the pictures, and it has this technology, this wonderful technology. So we will be the mediator for the community. So the whole idea is we want to install this kind of filter in the community and at no cost to the community. But yes, we are looking for different resources so that we can provide it. So we are going to, as we are talking about, this very important to involve the community, right? So we have visited several community meetings. Recently, we got resolution passed by Lake Valley chapter that our students can go and taste their wells. Because first we need to understand what's in there. Each community is different. Each well is different. Because what has happened, we need to trace it back and what type of content we're talking about. So we are working with the community. We have presented many times at Crown Point Club meetings. We are at Crown Point, so we want to keep our local chapter informed. So because NMT is close to Alum chapter, they are working with Alum. So we are working with the chapters, giving the information. COVID really slowed us down, so we couldn't go out there the way that we wanted to. But right now we have started those work. So the first thing we need is to first taste the wells in the community, identify which are the most impaired for different chemicals and salinity, and then we can start building those specific need-based filtration units for those communities. But what we are doing in between for the last 1.5 years, we are training our students. So training students like Mr. Wilson, they are going on to the field. They are getting they are getting those hands-on experiences. How do you collect the water? Because if you don't collect the water properly, the tests that we will be running in the lab will not make any sense, right? So we need to preserve the samples and then transport it to the lab. So if we don't know how to do that, the results will not be like, you cannot trust those results. So you can see the picture that like, our students are going out there. And we actually have a website. So after the talk, really will give you guys some stickers, which we will also have the brochures. So you can always go and check our website. We that, so you can see what we are doing. One more thing we're doing is we're giving our students platform to present their research. Because in today's world, it's really important to have that confidence of public speaking, right? So how you can take your research out to the public. So you can see they have already presented national international conference. Our students presented ACES last year, early presented in our symposium. So we are trying to give them that like training as well. How you can talk to the community, how you can talk to the non-scientists, right? Because that's really important. How we can have a very casual dialogue, but still we can do it for masses. Things are not good, and what is something that we are trying to do. One more thing we have done that last April we held our first water symposium at Farmington. So we invited high school students to take part in the water challenge. So we gave them like a question, a set of problems related to water, and they came up with a solution. So you can see, there are schools competing, high school students, they were competing with each other. They made presentation, and we gave them like scholarship, we gave them monetary reward. So it's like engaging the youth as well. So if we can get high school students motivated to work on this water, the field of water science, they can come to the institute program with that degree, and then they can do next step of the graduate degree. So we are creating an education pipeline as well to projects. And Navajo Nation's water resources chief hydrologist protocol speaker. She spoke how she gets involved into the water project and water related work she's doing. So those are the motivational things that we are doing as well. So and we have our industry partner, because this type of filtration unit need to be designed and need to be built on a proper basis. So we have our industry partner called PESCO. They are based in Farmington. Their 67% employees are Navajo employees. So the picture of our first phase unit that is right now going to the last phase of trial, and then we will deploy it on site. We all know, things work perfectly in lab, but when we take out to the field, it breaks down. So we want to make sure that we are working. But the important thing is our students are learning from the scratch. How, first, what's wrong with our water, right? How to analyze it, then how this filter works. The whole idea is we will run this filter for a few years. We will how to maintain those filters, and we will hand it to them for free. But they need to be trained. So our students will be in the forefront. So our students are going to chapters. They're attending chapter. They're talking to their chapter official. Getting the resolution passed. So we don't want to. We want to follow all the nation's guidelines in place. So we want to do it right. Yes, it takes time, but we want to do it right. So I think a few weeks ago, during with our other researchers in Lake Valley, they surveyed different wells from there, and we're analyzing that. And the last thing we are doing, and it is very important because we have learned our lessons from past, that this data is very sensitive, right? The rules that we will be testing. So we are creating a database management platform within GU so that we can follow our ownership data policies. And we have partnered with Itera, and we have partnered with West Big Data Hub based in University of California. Everyone is helping, but we will be owning them so that we can follow our ownership rules, all the data, and it will be publicly available. But we have to so that no one can use those data, right? So we are trying our best. But again, it's a very big project, so we even have submitted a proposal to Navajo Nation to fund our effort because the institute itself, requires money and to run it. We have people, who are very experienced in this field, so we are going to the community to tell us what else it can do. And also this filtration right now will be testing some units, but we want to have money to build more of these so that we can donate it to as many chapters we can. So again, I'm just a part of the team. I'm leading the effort from the team side, but it's a large team, and we have contacts from NTU and Intera and all those partners. So and I can give my card anywhere if you want to reach out to me, want to access the presentation, please feel free to reach out to me, and we'll be happy to that. But again, thank you so much for giving us this platform, and we want to continue to train our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Virgie, you want to share your experience?
Yeah, I honestly, that's usual, hold on. I know it's a quick accent. Shay B, professional, undergraduate student of biology and environmental science, major in tree fields. And when you go to Christmas waters, you have to be very careful. I went up there and it was a task. When you run these results, that, it's really hard. You can't just run it for it's just like yourself when you go to the hospital to get your lab results for your blood. It's almost the same thing. And so I learned a lot, and I would like to come back and help my people. That's my main goal. I was on PUBC as president before. My chapter is Untitled Chapter, so I resigned from PUBC, and then I started working with him, and I learned a lot. Oh, you focus on people with love. It's very precious for that. So I did research. I did my research on San Juan River. I just remember that Gold King limestone. I did that research